In the last video, we set up our spawner, but our spawner doesn't actually spawn in new robots yet. And the reason for that is that the game doesn't actually know when to spawn in a new bot. So that's what we're going to be setting up today. To start, double click on first person game mode, and you should see this. If instead you see the regular blueprint editor, then great. If you see this, just click the blue text here that says open full blueprint editor. And now we're in. So when exactly do we want this game to spawn in new robots? Well, we're going to keep track of two things. And to keep track of anything, we need a variable. So go ahead and make a variable called maxbots. And that's going to be an integer. And make another one called bots remaining. And that also will be an integer. Maxbots is going to keep track of the maximum number of robots that we're allowed to have in the scene at a time. As the game progresses, maxbots will get higher and higher. Bots remaining is the number of bots that are actually in the scene right now. So, when do we want the game to spawn in a new robot? Well, we want the game to spawn in a new robot every time we take out one. Well, we want the game to spawn in a new robot every time a robot in the game dies, whether that's because we shot it enough to take out its health, or if that's because it ran into the force field, or whatever. When a robot gets destroyed, we want the game to spawn in a new robot. The way that we're going to set this up is that we're going to explicitly state the default max number of bots that can be in the scene, and the game is going to immediately spawn in that many bots as soon as we start. And then from there, the game, whenever it spawns in a new bot, bots remaining will increase. When a bot gets destroyed, bots remaining will decrease. Whenever bots remaining is less than max bots, that's when we're going to spawn in a new bot. Alright? So let's actually start by finding all of our spawners. That way our game can figure out a random spawner to spawn a bot from. So right click and type in begin play and click event begin play. Drag off of this white here and type get all actors of class. All this block does is gives us a list of every actor in the game of this type. And what is this type going to be? This type is going to be BP spawner. Now we're going to right click on out actors, click promote to variable, and name it spawners. Alright, so now this gives us a reference to every spawner in the game. Now, to actually spawn in a new robot, we're going to right click and add a custom method, or custom event, excuse me. And we'll call this spawn. Now this spawn event, we're going to grab a random spawner and spawn a new robot. So how do we get a random spawner? We'll drag in spawners, type or click get, drag off, and now type get. What this get block does All right, remember this block is not a spawner. It's a list of all of our spawners. This block goes into this list and grabs the spawner at whatever this number is. It's important to note, when you're looking at these lists, numbers start from 0, not from 1. So the first spawner on the list is actually spawner number 0, not spawner number 1. Spawner number 1 is the second one. The third one is spawner number 2, the fourth is number 3, and so on and so forth. Now we want to grab a random spawner out of this list. So what do we want this number set to? Well, we want it set to a random number. So to do that, just drag off of the green and type random integer, random integer in range. And basically what this will do is it will give us a random number between here and here, between min and max. The number can be min and it can be max, or it could be anything in between. So if we have min set to 0 and max set to 5, the number can be 0, it can be 5, and it can be 1, 2, 3, or 4 as well. Sometimes that's not the case in other game engines, but in Unreal that is the case. I just wanted to point that out. So, what exactly should our min and max be? First off, we never want our minimum to go below 0. Secondly, we never want our maximum to be equal to or greater than the number of spawners that we have. We never want it to be equal to it because, remember, counting starts at 0. So if we have, let's say, 5 spawners in the game, spawner number 5 is actually the 6th spawner, but that one doesn't exist. And it would kind of break our game. And we don't want that. So what we want is we want min set to 0, and we want max set to the number of spawners we have in our game minus 1. Luckily, Unreal Engine has a quick way of doing that. So we'll drag off of spawners again and just type in last index. And last index is exactly what I just said. It's 1 less than the number of items on this list. So this is a list of spawners. Last index will give us 1 less than the number of spawners that we have in our game. Alright? So that's how we get a random spawner. Spawners will get the spawner at a random index between 0 and 1 less than the total number in the game. And once we get it, we just want to spawn new. Then connect white to white. And now our game has a way to spawn in new robots. But we're still not actually telling it to do that yet. So to tell it to actually spawn in a new robot, we need to give it a way to check to see if there needs to be a new robot spawned in. And since we want this check to be constantly going, we're going to use the tick. So right click, type tick, and click event tick. Drag off of the white here and type if, or you can type branch, just click branch. Now drag off of the red here and type in less than. That's shift comma if you don't know. And click integer less than integer. Not integer less than equal to integer. Just integer less than integer. So this red Reds are always true or false. This particular red will only be true when this number is less than this number. If this number is greater than this number, then it will be false. If the two are the same, it will also be false. It will only be true when this number is less than this one. So all we're going to do here, we're going to drag in bots remaining into A, drag in max bots into B, and now we're checking to see, do we need to spawn in a new bot? If this is true, then we do. If it's false, then we don't. So drag off of true here and type spawn. And that's it. Should be anyway. Compile, save, and I will throw in a few more spawners into the game, and I'll let you see what it looks like afterwards. Alright, here you can see now I've added 6 spawners into the game world. Now if I play this game, he didn't spawn in, that's just the one that I had in from earlier. You can see that there are in fact no bots spawning in at all. The reason for that is because I forgot 2 things. Firstly, back in the first person game mode, make sure you compile so that you can set the number of max bots. I will set it to 3 to begin with, and compile again. The next thing we need to do is every time we spawn in a new bot, we want our max bots to increase. So what we're going to do here is at the end of spawn new, we're going to drag off of the white here and just type in 2 plus signs. Click increment int, not increment float. And we'll drag in bots remaining right there. Compile that. So when I hit play here, ignore him. He didn't spawn in from the game. He was just already there. So here's 1. And there are the other 2. So 3 spawned in because I set max bots to 3. But you'll notice that none of them are chasing me. And another bug you'll notice is that as I take them out, let's get the last one here. No new bots spawn in to take their place. So let's fix that. Click on content, open third person BP, blueprints, and double click AI. So at the end of actor begin overlap here, you should have all of this logic that takes care of killing the robot when it runs out of health. When that happens, we want to decrease the bots remaining in our game mode. So what we'll do is we'll right click here at the end and type get game mode, drag off of the blue, and type in cast to first person game mode. This is going to give us access to those variables. Connect white to white. Drag off the blue here where it says as first person game mode and type in get bots remaining drag off of here, just type minus minus and click decrement int. And now connect white to white. Now they should replace each other. And you saw that one just now spawn in. So we know they are. There's 3 here. And when I take out that one, another one spawns in. And the more I take out, the more that spawn in. Every time I take one out, another one spawns in to take its place. Which is exactly what we want. But they're still not chasing us yet. So to fix that, go back into BPAI here. Click over here where it says BPAI self. And scroll down to pawn. Where it says, you'll see a selection, I guess, that says auto possess AI. Change that from placed in world to placed in world or spawned. Compile, save. Now when I hit play, you can see they all chase me. And as more and more spawn in, the new ones chase me. And there's always 4 in the scene, no matter what. In the next video, we will change that. Like I said before, max bots will increase as the game goes on. In the next video, we will actually be creating the logic that tells the game when to increase max bots.